Like I said, they go to that little closet in the bottom of the building and their imaginations run wild. Well, what did it turn out to be? It was an extinct type of pig when they found more of the fossils. Ramapithecus was hailed as an ancestor from the 60s to the 80s. It still exists in some textbooks that they use in schools. It was based on a handful of teeth and jaw fragments. They found the entire jaw in 1977, and it was an orangutan. What about Neanderthal man? We've all heard of that. Here's from 1909. You know what's happened to Neanderthal man over the last 100 years? He's really evolved rapidly into fully human. Here's a picture in 1920, 1953, and now scientists realize, many scientists admit that it's Homo sapien. There's some that are still in denial that refuse to see the gorilla. But here's what we know. They were modern humans. Here's some evidence from archaeology. They used jewelry, used musical instruments, created cave paintings. This was a huge one when they found out that they were capable of speech. It totally ruined their idea that we were evolved from Neanderthals. And they buried their dead. So, nevertheless, the indoctrination continues on. American Museum of Natural History still shows Neanderthal man as some ape-like creature when we know that they're fully human. And you know the Bible mentions post-flood cave dwellers. So one scientist in the 1800s said that Neanderthal, he was one of the leading scientists in his field, Robert Virchow. He said that Neanderthals were simply humans that suffered from rickets because they weren't getting enough sunlight, enough vitamin D. And we know from the Bible that they were cave dwellers. They had to live in the clefts of the valleys and caves of the earth and the rocks. They wandered in deserts and mountains and dens and caves of the earth. We've got modern-day cavemen. Did you know that? What about Lucy? Who's heard of Lucy? They really push Lucy as one of our ancestors. Here's an interesting admission by the person who discovered Lucy. With these credentials, I had managed to get some funding for my first expedition as a co-leader. I knew, though, that I had to prove myself by finding some hominids, or the money would dry up. There's a lot of money to finding human ancestors. It's huge. But you know what the evidence really showed? And this is what some evolutionist scientists who realized that the evidence did not show that we were evolved from them. They realized they were just an extinct type of ape. They had a stoop gait, curved fingers and toes, and they were knuckle walkers, and they lived in trees. One evolutionist said they're just bloody apes. He was trying to be intellectually honest. Was Lucy a bonobo? The Bonobo Conservation Initiative. It's a bonobo site, bonobo.org. Go there. It says bonobos stand apart from the other great apes. Physically, their anatomy most closely resembles Australopithecus. That's Lucy. Was she a bonobo? Do those look similar to you? They look very similar to me. All Lucy is an extinct type of bonobo, probably. Nevertheless, at the St. Louis Museum and other museums around the world, here's an example where they show this ape-like Lucy with human feet, yet they never found foot bones. It's brainwashing. Here's what Professor Betsy Schumann, evolutionist expert, admits that the statue's feet probably are not accurate, but when asked whether the statue should be changed, she says, absolutely not. So if evolution were true, why do they have to appeal to stuff like this? Why do they have to lie to you? If it's true, why not use evidence? Why deceive people? Did anybody hear of Ida? About a year ago? I mean, this made national headlines from the History Channel, the most important find in 47 million years. I didn't know the History Channel had been on that long. The New York Times compared it to the moon landing and the Kennedy assassination. It was the 8th wonder of the world. It's like the Holy Grail of paleontology. Here's what David Attenborough said. The link they would have said up to now is missing. Well, it's no longer missing. Here's another candid admission that, okay, we really never had a missing link, but now they think they have one. Well, this one got refuted pretty quickly. Unfortunately, it really didn't make much headlines, but here's what evolutionist scientists admitted that are familiar with this. Many paleontologists are unconvinced. This is in Science Now, again, an evolutionist source. It's nice it had fingernails, something we have, as do most primates, but they've cherry-picked particular characteristics. Another evolutionist said it's not a missing link, it's not even a terribly close relative to monkeys. On the whole thing, I think the evidence is less than convincing. And Dr. Chris Beard said he was awestruck by the publicity machine surrounding the new fossil. Again, if there's such great evidence for evolution, why do they have to stoop to this? And it turns out this was just an extinct lemur. And most evolutionists know it. This was interesting from National Geographic. The fossil record of the living great apes is poor. The orangutan is actually the only great ape that has a fossil record. No African fossil has ever been found that is related to chimpanzees or gorillas. Well, there's a reason. They keep turning their bones into humans, or ape-like humans. They're finding them. They're just trying to turn them into humans. Okay, we're just about over. I want to convey to you the importance of this whole debate. What if you're really interested in a topic? I know a lot of kids really love airplanes, so I thought, okay, this will be a good example. So you go to the library, you go to the bookstore, and you buy a book about airplanes, okay? Because you see this wonderful cover, and you think, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And you open it up, and the very first page you see flying saucers, a flying elephant, a flying turtle. Suddenly you're disappointed in your purchase, or maybe you didn't buy it yet and you put it right back on the shelf. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? You know what's going on is that Satan is very intelligent. He's attacking the foundation of the Bible. If he can get you not to believe the first book of the Bible, why should you believe the rest? Why wouldn't you put it back down and not even bother reading the rest? Why should you trust other historical facts in the Bible? Why should you trust that Christ rose from the dead if you can't trust the history in the very first part of the Bible? It's a very effective strategy. You get things like millions of years, which again is very important that we realize the impact of believing in millions of years. Every liberal church in America and the world began with a compromise of Genesis. Every single one. We do not know of a single exception. They all began with a compromise. If you know of a church that allows homosexual pastors, I guarantee you 100%. They began with a compromise on Genesis. So all of these are attacking the foundation of the Bible, yet many Christians, unfortunately, think, oh, it didn't hit the cross. They're not attacking Jesus. But they're being much more effective, and we've seen that over the